Wednesday, how is your week going? It's the middle of the week. Everything looks, well, it doesn't look too bad, does it? And today, we're going to be taking a look at Railgun in this week's First Look, our unboxing series. What is Railgun? Well, it's a privacy and anonymity protocol built on Ethereum that does some pretty cool things. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsors. Don't let high gas costs keep you out of Ethereum. A balance of the gas-optimized vault architecture makes trading cheaper than anywhere else. Liquidity providers can optimize their fee earnings using the dynamic fee system that automatically adjusts to market conditions. You can also use asset managers to lend out idle assets, dramatically increasing your capital efficiency. And because Balancer is an open platform for flexible, automated markets, you can choose from stable pools or weighted pools. And in the future, more designs will be created that we don't even know about yet. Check it out at balancer.fi. DeFi users, you no longer need to pay expensive and unpredictable interest rates on your ETH loans. Liquidity, a decentralized borrowing protocol, allows you to borrow against your ETH interest-free. Loans are paid out in LUSD, which is a USD-pegged stablecoin, and need to maintain a minimum collateral ratio as low as 110%. To learn more, head over to liquidity.org/Defiant to get started and get the most out of your borrowing needs today. With the fast-paced nature of the crypto industry, more and more wealth-building platforms are entering the market. And here's one, Nexo. They fully protect and insure your assets for up to $375 million. You can buy crypto directly on the web platform or mobile app and start earning up to 12% interest on your idle assets. They also allow you to borrow against your crypto from 6.9% APR. And the best thing is your credit line becomes instantly available with no credit checks. You can even buy, sell, and swap 100 or so crypto and fiat pairs with zero price fluctuations. Check them out at nexo.io. Now, back to First Look. Okay, let's get into it. Railgun, privacy on ETH. And you may be thinking, well, we kind of already have this, don't we? We have zk-SNARKs, we have zk rollups, we have Tornado Cash, for instance. How is Railgun different? Well, let's dig in. So if I dig out my notes here, the thing about Railgun is they are using a suite of smart contracts which are built directly onto Ethereum. And this is designed to achieve privacy for DeFi transactions, to hide your wallet balance, to basically just make what you're doing private. Now, why would we want that? Well, there's lots of different reasons why you might want that, because I, for instance, am a moderately public figure. It's pretty easy to track down my wallet and see what I have. And particularly with NFTs at the moment, it would be very easy to track down what I have. And that would make me potentially the target of a $5 wrench attack, which I would rather not happen. So I'm not particularly famous or particularly well known, but if you were an influencer, for instance, and you wanted to, keep what you were doing reasonably private, this might be a way to do that. There are other reasons why you might want privacy. You might just be a libertarian and you just don't believe in government surveillance and government interference, which we'll get into as well. And what's interesting about this protocol is that it doesn't exist on a layer 2. It's built directly on layer 1. So you have the infrastructure of ETH layer 1, but just with a privacy element to it. I didn't want to use the word layer because it's not a layer. It's a set of smart contracts. So they use zk-SNARKs. It's all on chain. So you have all the Ethereum security. There's no additional nodes required to secure like a secondary privacy layer. It's just right there. There is a DAO, which is used to govern what tokens are added to the pool of tokens that you can actually use. It's quite a limited pool at the moment. So you can deposit ETH, USDC, REN BTC, REN ZEC, which is Zcash. And there will be other tokens being added, but they'll be voted on by the DAO. And the DAO is governed by token holders. And those tokens went live, I believe, like a few days ago, like 4 days ago on the 3rd. So it sounds pretty kind of exciting, really. So they use zk-SNARKs to prove that shielded transactions are valid without revealing any information about the sender, the recipient, or the transaction amount. So kind of think of it like a walled garden for your information, for your privacy, for everything else. They claim, if we look up here, it says the app is coming soon. So there's no app for me to test, unfortunately, because that would have been my first port of call. Because the functionality, the usability of this thing is paramount. They claim it will be like a MetaMask experience. So the way it will work is you deposit funds into Railgun, and those funds can then be used to interact with Aave, for instance, or they can be used to interact with any DeFi protocol that you want, but privately. And then there's also going to be a DEX, which will allow you to swap tokens between other users on Railgun. And then there's some other interesting things going on. So they have what they call adapt modules. So if we go into the white paper, which is relatively light, actually, as these things go. It's only 16 pages, so not a massive read. There are some... Let's look at adapt modules. If we go down a little bit further. So what they're claiming is that the adapt modules will allow you to add additional functionality to the smart contract. So they're not built in immediately, but the adapt modules can implement extra functionality without bloating the core Railgun code. And they do give you some examples how that might be used for NFTs. There are relayers. And basically, I mean, it all sounds pretty good, to be honest. Because as they rightly point out in the white paper, if you add layer twos, if you add a secondary layer, you are introducing potential vulnerabilities into that layer. Even if you are creating an environment over which you have more control, over which you have the ability to run your own nodes. But of course, I think we've covered this on the channel before, setting up a network of nodes is extremely difficult. It's easier when the market is bullish, but when the market is bearish, the cost of running nodes and maintaining them is pretty high. And you have to have a high level of conviction in a project to be able to say with clarity that in 4 years or 5 years' time, the cost of running that node will pay itself off handsomely. It's pretty hard. So this does away with all of that. Now, I dug up some more information on this protocol. What can users do with Railgun? You can perform dark pool-style trading where nobody can copy your farming strategies. You can make confidential payments to an attorney when seeking legal advice on personal disputes. You can enter into new coin investments without alerting those who follow your wallet. This is one of the funny things about crypto. When a hack happens, the way you find out about it is through Twitter, because there are people who spend a lot of time analyzing wallets and analyzing the flow of funds from one place to another. And they're usually the ones who spot a hack happening first. With Railgun, that wouldn't happen. Is that a good thing? Well, yeah, you have to ask yourself. You can build a shielded balance without outsiders knowing the specifics of your diamond handbags. You can receive donations without outsiders being able to view donation history. You can prevent spying and data collection about transaction habits. Be free from being targeted by advertisers or fraudsters based on your DeFi habits. That would be interesting to me. And then they say, stop any dates looking into your DeFi habits before having dinner with you. Doesn't this sound a lot like it's what money launderers are looking for? It's what the government is claiming crypto is used for, but which we know is not really the case. But here is exactly the protocol that if you were a money launderer and you were looking to hide your transactions, this is what you would use. And this is how you would use it. This is the problem with privacy. So there's a good little kind of interview with the team that I found. Nothing particularly interesting in there. There's some good technical details, but there are a few things that kind of just gave me pause when I was reading through these. So look, I know it's not a big deal, but like here, for instance. Spelling mistake. What is Railgun? It doesn't say what is Railgun. It says what it Railgun. I'm maybe a stickler here, but if you're a technical paper, run a spell check. So that's just one thing. There are some other things like right at the top of this white paper, it says, Railgun is a robust zero-knowledge substrate built on Ethereum, enabling privacy with a 1 instead of an I and anonymity with a 0 instead of I don't know. This is DeFi. It's supposed to be fun. The design of the logo is kind of cool. Not that really matters anyway. But the Telegram group is called the Church of Railgun. The church? Why a church? So in this interview, you see the classic, right? Emmanuel Goldstein, who's the lead behind the project, says privacy is a human right. Privacy is a human right. I'm afraid this is going to be a point of debate in the coming months. And there is a good reason for that, which is the FATFA regulations will be coming out in October, or at least they're supposed to be. They were pushed back from July to October. If you were looking for a potential nuclear shock to a bull market, that's it. The October proposal is coming out. Yes, EIP 1559, all exciting and everything else, but looking further ahead, FATFA, those regulations that are coming with the travel rule, with VASPs, you need to pay attention to it. We have covered this on the channel previously. We did a long interview with Joe about that and covered it in detail. Nobody's paying attention to it. You really need to. So I found that this article, the crypto lobbyists put DeFi proposals to FATFA in an open letter. This is an article from Ryan Weeks on the blog. And these lobbyists are trying to basically persuade FATFA to use common sense when it comes to putting the regulations forward. But, you know, the main takeout from all of this is they want extra transparency. They want to know exactly where money is, where it's coming from, what's happening with it. And that is exactly why Railgun is a protocol which kind of stands directly in opposition to that. Where that leaves Railgun, I do not know. But we will definitely be hearing more about privacy. We'll be definitely be hearing more about Tornado Cash. We'll be definitely hearing more about money launderers and KYC and AML and travel rules and VASPs and transparency and registering your identity, all of that stuff. Big topics for the end of the year. Trust me on that. So I don't really know where we stand on this. I will link to this article from the blog. Obviously link to everything that I've talked about here. But if you care about privacy and you are interested in the trade-offs, the debate, the difficulties of implementing it, and the philosophical debate about why we need it and what it's for and who could abuse it, definitely something that we should be picking up as a panel discussion, I think, in the coming months. So that's Railgun. I'm excited to see how they put it all together, and I'm excited to actually try it out for myself and see how it all works. Because as I said, personally, there are ways in which I would definitely want to use this. And I would definitely want to protect myself or protect what I'm doing a little bit from prying eyes. Not because I've got something to hide, but because I just don't want to be attacked. It's plain and simple. I just don't want to be beaten up and robbed. So I think that's a fair enough use case for it. So that's Railgun. As always, if you have any suggestions for us to look at in first look, do drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the bell, comment, subscribe, like, do all that stuff. The algorithm will love you for it. You know what? We might even send one of you an NFT in the near future. Would you like that? I think you would. I'll see you on the next one. Peace!